I'll see who clap at the end. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathalie Etoke. I teach French and Africana Studies at Connecticut College. Thank you for the applause, but I only have technically 15 minutes. I'm already going beyond that. Could you save it? Otherwise, I won't be able to do my talk. Thank you for the love. I love you back. It is very humbling to stand before you today. What's past is prologue. We are defined by a collective history. What in our collective past has given us this present? Faced with the choices in front of us, how will we shape our future? Unarmed black men killed by police officer is a common headline. When black police officers are involved in police brutality, conservative media outlets enjoy the "this, look, this is not about racism" narrative. They're racializing the problem by erasing the connection between institutional racism and oppression as it pertains to police brutality is their objective. The video showing the death of Walter Scott at the hands of police officer Michael Slager brought me back to two inescapable truths: the age-old systemic degrading of black life and the continuing denial of black humanity. Walter Scott runs away from Michael Slager. As I watched that peculiar moment, I thought about the enslaved people who tried to escape the plantation. Any random white male or overseer could have brought them back to the plantation, owned them, or killed them. Meanwhile, the enslaved men and women kept on running for their prison within a vast open-air prison. Comparing the runaway slave demise to Walter Scott's death seems anachronic and hyperbolic. I argue, however, that this running away from the oppressor situation is a regular occurrence in some of our present-day disenfranchised neighborhoods. Black men, women, teenagers, and children are trapped in an existential hell when facing the police. Walter Scott, someone's father, someone's brother, someone's son, someone's partner, runs away from Officer Michael Slager. Unable to catch up with Scott, Slager shoots him in the back 8 times in a row. 8 times in a row. Until the surfacing of the video, the official narrative was that Slager had fired because he was in legitimate fear for his life. The video displays a cold-blooded public execution in broad daylight. What went through Slager's consciousness, heart, and soul is an old pattern that allowed generation before him to normalize the dehumanizing of the many killed. How do we address the fact that some humans have been constructed as non-humans and others as the epitome of humanity? Owning black bodies, raping black bodies, lynching black bodies, commodifying black bodies, disciplining black bodies, destroying black bodies. How do America's oppressive practices toward black people inform our understanding of police brutality and racial injustice today? What's past is prologue. During slavery, to be human equated being white and free. To be human equated being white and free. Any random white person embodied a certain level of power. Legal and illegal use of violence, physical and psychological, has been the most efficient tool ever since. Remember Jim Crow. Remember the lynching pictures. God-loving men with their lovely wives and children look at black bodies swinging from trees, their faces blossoming with a ghastly glow. Remember the Ku Klux Klan. Remember Emmett Till. Where were the police? What did the courts do? The initial purpose of the police and the criminal justice system was to reinforce and protect white power, also known as white freedom. After the abolition of slavery, both institutions continued to be good bedfellows. Police brutality, mass incarceration of people of color, and social inequality are rooted in the past that will not die until we confront it for what it is. Police officers who kill black men, women, teenagers, and children are not brutalizing humans, but people of slave descent, who they have de facto endowed with subhuman status by the virtue of their skin color. In America, being black and human is an existential oxymoron. Under the white gaze, black people embody an absence of human presence. The abolition of slavery and segregation have not freed the American psyche from the doctrine of white supremacy and its moral monsters. In his Fox News studio, my dear friend Bill O'Reilly reacts to the protest surrounding the death of Freddie Gray and says, I quote, "The rioters are angry because America is a country of mass incarceration. It's not the fault of those who commit crimes. It's the fault of America because we don't provide jobs for everyone. How can anyone provide a job that pays decent salary to somebody who can barely read or write, to somebody who does not even want to work because they have a sense of entitlement that says they are victims? This is not a country that promotes white supremacy. There is no systemic effort to keep down black people in America." Early this week, O'Reilly asked Donald Trump, "How are you going to get jobs for them? Many are ill-educated," and this is the best part of the quote, "and have tattoos on their foreheads." This well-crafted system of misrepresentations shapes white American identity. Within that system, blacks are not citizens facing problems in America, but a century-old problem that hangs around America's neck. Within that system of misrepresentation, there is nothing wrong with the country, but there is something pathological and incurable about black people. The use of force by police is legal. Reducing crime does not give the police a license to kill innocent individuals on the spot or have them die under suspicious circumstances in police custody. Showing the high rate of gang-related murders is an attempt to silence social protest, flee from responsibility, and shame black people while demanding that they provide a solution to the violence happening in their communities. Aren't those communities part of this nation? An image of its blatant failure? Media coverage of the riots in Baltimore and Ferguson diverted attention by shifting the focus from police brutality to vandalism. Protecting properties and businesses seems more valuable than protecting black lives. Recognizing that the doctrine of white supremacy continues to be a threat to black lives is one side of the story. The other one has to do with the people who call themselves white while refusing to question or historicize the politics of racial identification. How did individuals from diverse European ancestry, French, British, Spanish, Polish, German, and what have you, transmute into white people? How and why did Americanness and whiteness become synonymous, normative, and exclusive? The N-word, the so-called N-word that nobody can pronounce today, turned out to be pejorative in the early 19th century. Prior to that, it described enslaved Africans and their descendants. I am not a race, and neither are you. People are not concepts. What defines you and me is the relationship we have, and it is not a race relation. How we treat each other is a reflection of who we are as humans. Racial naming is rooted in the rhetoric of dehumanization, dispossession, and ownership. We know who, quote unquote, owned Black people. The real question I would like you to think about today, seriously, is who or what owned the people who, quote unquote, own them. Paraphrasing Aimé Césaire, one can say that oppressive practices such as slavery and colonization dehumanize the most civilized man. In order to ease his conscience, he gets into the habit of seeing the other man as an animal, treats him like an animal, and tends objectively to transform himself into an animal. Racism is an ontological catastrophe that cut both ways. Gazing at Black victims being treated like wild beasts, America overindulges in the pornography of violence provided by the 24-hour media circus. The constant denial of humanity in Black flesh is not and should not be the victim's responsibility. Ironically, Black people must fix a problem that belongs to someone else. On September 15, 1963, 4 little girls were bombed out of existence one Sunday morning in a Baptist church in Birmingham, Alabama. On June 17, 2015, 9 people were killed while attending a weekly Bible study in an African Methodist Episcopal church, which one of the founders was Danmark Vesey. A Black man who purchased his freedom, Vesey was executed by hanging in 1822 for organizing a slave rebellion in Charleston, South Carolina. A long time ago, an enslaved African asked, "Lord, why come me here? I wish I never was born. There ain't no freedom here, Lord." In 1899, James Weldon Johnson wrote, "We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered." 52 years ago, Nina Simone sang Mississippi Goddamn. Last year, Kendrick Lamar's All Right became the anthem for the Black Lives Matter movement, which reminds this nation and the world that Black people are still deprived of basic human rights and dignity. I believe in a language that improvises on brokenness as a prerequisite for self-examination, spiritual toughness, radical transformation, and agape love. I believe in the redeeming power of chaos that occurs when we persistently try to create a new language that articulates the complexity of hope in the midst of despair, love in the face of lovelessness, belief in the best of humanity, even if men and women have failed other men and women countless times. Until this hour, we are still failing each other. However, there are times when we succeed. Those moments change the world forever. Yes, we are defined by our collective history. But aren't we also so much more than that? So much more. Some people want to make America great again. Oh, well. My beloved student, Anik Ashraf, once asked, "What do you want to go back to? Days of slavery or days of colonization?" The color of nostalgia is white. African Americans were enslaved for 245 years. They have been freed for 151 years. Do the enslaved and their offspring make America great? If American freedom is initially inseparable from indigenous dispossession and the enslavement of other human beings for the sake of profit-making, it means that we are operating under a definition of freedom that is doomed. It cannot and will not function without oppression, exploitation, dispossession, and dehumanization. How can I be free when I am enslaving you? How can you be free when I am enslaved? How can I be free when I am colonizing you? How can you be free when I am colonized? I'm breaking with the imperialistic idea of freedom and what it means to be human. Following in the footsteps of Walter Mignolo, I humbly propose, this is a proposition, you think about it, that we practice epistemic disobedience and decolonize freedom in order to achieve freedom. We are taught that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. We are taught that the French or France and the United Kingdom gave independence to their colonies. How nice. In the words of Kwame Ture, all men are born free. They are enslaved by other men. The oppressor did not give them their independence, but stopped oppressing them. From the moment of their inception, liberté, égalité, fraternité, life and the pursuit of happiness, and the Bill of Rights excluded Native Americans, brown people, and black people. Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Arkai Gurley, Charlie Kenong, Matthew Adebaji, Laquan McDonald, Jordan Davis, Sandra Bland, Tanisha Anderson, and so many more are still excluded from the grandiose narratives about freedom and human rights. Sometimes it looks as if hope had died. But the very time I thought I was lost, the dungeon shook and my chains fell off. An enslaved person spoke those words. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy, joy, oh joy, joy comes in the morning. We are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. They fought the good fight and kept the faith. What are you fighting for today? And this is not a rhetorical question. What are you fighting for today? I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Can you breathe? Are you breathing? Are we breathing? We will survive together or perish together. Do you have faith in mankind? The choices that we make or choose not to make as a nation, as citizens, as brothers and sisters, as humans, shape the world in which we live. I can breathe. I can breathe. I can breathe. Can you breathe? Are you breathing? Are we breathing? Thank you.